Make it a clean sweep. I got Dallas 11-6.
Kept the, I know they would say, oh, well, he kept the tag applied. He could have kept the tag applied and not straddled homeboy. You know what I mean? He could have moved his leg. So.
Oh, it was fine. It's just.
I'm just saying.
Ramirez
I
just
mean,
had a little.
it wasn't necessary.
Nothing wrong.
It didn't need to get to that extreme. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing wrong.
Bills in a last-second field goal or a last-second touchdown by Aaron Rodgers to take the division.
He's kicking field goals too. I want to bet.
Right?
I want.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another great LTS show. I am your host, Bodkins. Man, it is a Monday night, a little smaller Monday night. No Jim Biringer tonight. Jim is actually on site, boots on the ground for the Hockey Hall of Fame. So hoard our hockey questions for next week and our hockey discussion next week. You guys know how much I love talking hockey. So unfortunately, we won't be doing that tonight, but we'll have a lot of other great discussions. So we'll talk a little NBA. I want to talk a little bit of James Harden with the guys. Jonathan's going to join us in the, he'll join us a little earlier than usual. He's going to talk about LSU and the Heisman, and we'll get into that. A little bit of MLB hot stove as well. So a lot to get into tonight. We had another good games of football yesterday. If you missed it, me and Scott broke them down on last night's show. Check that out on my channel if you want, as we broke down and recapped everything. And then tonight we got the Bills and the Broncos. The Bills might be definitely one of the top 3 most disappointing teams in the league right now. They just don't look very good. I know they're injury riddled, but dang. I stayed away from this game gambling wise just because, and I did take the under. I liked the under, but it did not like any of the points. And let's go ahead and speaking of a good gambler, one and the only Mr. Super Producer Tanner Dawson.
What up? Happy Monday.
Tanner, what's up, my man? How is doing? I took the under on this game. I stayed away with the points. I think I took the Bills in our pick 'em because we have to, but gambling wise, I wasn't touching this game with the +7 or the -7 because the Bills are too unpredictable.
The Broncos are unpredictable. The Bills are unpredictable. It's primetime Buffalo. You might as well be primetime Kirk Cousins with this. So it's just the game I didn't touch. I looked through prop bets even. There's a couple I didn't mind, but I didn't trust it because Josh Allen was the one throwing the ball in primetime. And so, as you guys know right now, I believe Josh Allen is not a top 10 quarterback right now. So, plain and simple. I don't think
it over a lot. Now, he had an interception. It wasn't his fault yet in this game. I mean, it bounced off his receiver's hands. That's not his fault.
Right. No, not everything's going to be his fault. But I'm just saying, I'm not high on him. But I don't have the game on my TV over here. We have Purdue and Xavier playing right now, so which I find a much more intriguing matchup, considering that was on the Let's Talk About show as well. So,
Edie, the reigning defending National College Player of the Year.
Yep. So that's a good game so far. But no, I think the under on any primetime game for Sunday or Monday is appropriate. But yeah, not touching it. I picked the Broncos +7.5. I think it was, or +7, whatever it was. So I believe I'm doing all right now on that. I think I was the only one to pick the Broncos in this one.
Yeah. I can't remember. I'd have to look back as well. But yeah, it was +7. I mean, right now you have a 10-point lead almost because and Denver's getting ready to score some sort of points here.
4th and 2. So
3rd and 6 right here. Now they're going to kick a field goal. Well, now it's 4th and 2. Yeah. So one play ahead of me. Let's go ahead and we'll bring in Mr. Titan himself as the Titans got their asses kicked last night by the Bucks. I mean, Jesus, have they thought about covering Mike Evans?
Wasn't it the Steelers? Who was it? Who was the Bucks that beat him?
Yeah, Mike Evans just,
Oh, that's right.
Mike Evans was Scott's dog of the week. So for what he
Yeah.
did to the Sam's Titans. So,
Hey,
Sam,
thank
what's up,
you.
buddy?
Oh, I'm great. Just listening to you gets me pissed off for
Sam, hold on,
greatness.
stop. Sam, do you got your fucking Christmas tree up already?
Yeah, I got the Christmas tree up.
Jesus. Oh,
We got
Hey,
ours
Mama,
up,
if
too.
Mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Nick. You know this.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on,
See,
now.
that's the thing, right? We got ours up
Girls
with some
love
kind
it.
of Candyland theme.
No.
We got that up
Both
yesterday.
of you guys
so
got your trees up?
I didn't win the battle, dude.
Yeah.
There's one
Didn't win the
rule.
battle.
I don't have very many rules in this house, but we don't put our damn
You're
Christmas
gonna
tree
die
up
on this hill. This is the hill.
until after Thanksgiving.
Wow.
The day after Thanksgiving is when I say, "Hey, we can put the Christmas tree up."
I
I love Christmas. I fucking hate Christmas. I am a Grinch.
You are.
Scrooge.
I'm
I hate it. I hate it. It's a dumb holiday.
I'm coming by your house delivering some presents. You got to cheer up. It's
No,
Christmas.
I don't even really like presents. I don't care
No.
about any of it.
I don't believe you.
Ho, ho,
You're full of
ho.
lies.
Here's
I
sword in
don't.
love's head.
I don't.
Here's what's his name? Goot, whatever, the GM for the Packers.
Guta Coons.
Yeah,
Goot.
when I go up here in a couple weeks to Lambeau, I'll get you a present on the way back. All right.
Yeah. I don't. I'm not a Christmas person. I don't care for people to buy me gifts. I don't like buying gifts for people. It stresses me out. I hate it. I would if I didn't have kids, I would never celebrate Christmas. But the fact that I have kids,
You're not one of those weirdos that's like Halloween's so freaking awesome.
No, I'm not. I don't like Halloween. I'm not saying like I'm like Halloween either. I don't really like any holidays. You know what holidays I like? 4th of July is probably my favorite holiday because you just get drunk and fucking shoot off fireworks.
4th of July is the best.
Yes.
4th of July is awesome. Great
America,
food,
baby.
fireworks.
Yeah. I love summer holidays. Give me Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day. Those 3 are my favorite fucking holidays. I hate every other holiday outside of it.
My goodness. Oh.
Dude. I don't mind Thanksgiving.
This explains so much.
I don't mind Thanksgiving. I think I love Thanksgiving more than Christmas and Halloween because like Thanksgiving you just fucking eat and you watch a little football and then everybody can go for the fuck home. And
Drink, you eat,
yes,
and you
drink, eat, and football. I can get behind that. So I do like Thanksgiving. Christmas, I hate it. Absolutely, I hate Christmas.
Nick is going to be visited by 3 spirits on Christmas month.
I think it does stem from when I was a child. It doesn't help. Both my parents divorced, so I don't have like Christmas traditions, like because my parents were divorced, so I was always at somebody's different house. I think so it's not like I ever ran down the tree and was
that
like,
makes sense. That makes sense.
my gosh, I'm waiting for my favorite Christmas present, and my mom and dad are all happy. Fuck no. That's just it doesn't happen, and I don't have it. I don't have 1 ounce of Christmas spirit in me.
Yeah, That makes sense that you would.
I have a new mission in life now. It's coming, Nick. Just prepare yourself.
I mean, I do it for everything I do for Christmas. I do it for my children, and
for you.
I put up the tree. I get them the presents. We do all that. I take them to go see Christmas lights. But other than that, man, if they weren't around. I would be the most Grinch person in the world. I wouldn't care
how early do they get you up for Christmas?
Well, I wake up early before them anyway, so it's not like I'm an early riser anymore.
Even on Christmas morning, damn.
Yeah, even 5 o'clock every morning, probably.
Not me, man. I get jacked. I'm like, wake up, Case. We're doing this shit.
Man.
Give me my present.
I tell you what, my end of my retail career, Target, those last 3 years. Could care less. I was ready to be done and over with because it was just hell.
Oh, yeah, bet.
And I was done. So that turned me a little bit of Grinch. It's come back a little bit since then. I mean, I'm 7 years in and still recovering. So, I went to AA and everything for that.
Good God.
Hey, dude. No, I didn't.
AA for Christmas.
AA for retail workers.
Yeah.
Recovery retail workers.
Oh, I asked if she wanted me to bag it. I don't know why she got so angry.
This guy just got mad because I ruined her Christmas. We didn't have nothing in stock. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, this last minute
I said
shop.
the coupon was expired, but she just kept shoving it.
I should have known you come in on December 24th at 6:00 at night. My bad.
Should have known. You should have had that Turbo Man, Tanner. Should have had the Turbo Man.
Wow,
I knew
Jingle
I left
all
him in
the
the back
way
room for a
reference.
reason.
Yes, yes, Nicholas. Yes.
I do. So that's the only Christmas. I do watch Christmas movies. I always watch A Christmas Story, Die Hard.
Oh,
or,
I love Die Hard.
Always at the top. So if I had, like I told you, I have 1% of Christmas spirit in the. So that's it. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. My wife and I watch Die Hard every Christmas Eve, so that's what we do.
Hey, that's a
Christmas
good one.
action movie. I'll take it.
Yeah.
There's Jim just posted on his Twitter that he made his national television debut. Not the way he thought. He's in the background of the legendary coach discussing. They're talking on the NHL channel, and you see Jim just back there, just standing around.
Hey
That's pretty
guys,
epic.
That's our guy, Jim.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's out there, man. I tell you, love it. I love
I
it.
want it. I want him to creep over people's shoulders and stuff. That'd be hilarious.
He needs to write, like, turn on to the LTS show, like in the background.
Hey guys,
Little paper.
Broncos score but missed the field goal, gentlemen.
Oh, they missed the extra point. That was
how
a
did
nice
they
catch
score
by
and
Seth.
miss the field goal?
All right, score missed the extra point, smarty pants.
There
You
you
feel
go.
better now?
That's what cost Green Bay yesterday. Cost Green Bay extra points that could come back to get you. Sam, sorry I didn't mean to interrupt you before we got off the Christmas talk and your lights there. What was your thoughts on the Tennessee and Will Levis? Is Will Levis the guy? We still don't know.
We're still waiting. I'm in. What is it? I'm in love with the idea of Will Levis. That doesn't mean he's going to be the Will Levis. He didn't get enough time yesterday. I thought he hung tough, especially getting knocked down all but 4 times, which is absolutely horrible. The kid had no time. He was trying to fleek it out there. He made good passes, so I'm still open on the kid. I hope they can find some way, some hot routes or something, so where we can get him loose, because the protection's not going to get any better. It's just not. So you're gonna have to find a way to overcome bad protection. He did it in Kentucky.
Is that the reason? And I asked this to Scott yesterday. Is that the reason Derrick Henry just hasn't been going? Like, is it the offensive line, or is the Henry train or bus, whatever you want, a Henry train, is it derailed?
It's a mixture of both, to be honest with you. Some people treat him like he's some sort of saint, like you can't say anything bad about him. When's the last time we saw Derrick Henry tackled by arm tackles? It happened 3 times yesterday. That doesn't happen with him. You usually have to tackle him. That's bothersome. The other things that people don't understand is when he used to get loose, he was gone. Now he gets loose and he gets brought down 10 yards down the field. Father Time is undefeated in the NFL. And while the O-line's bad and it surely has contributed, I don't think he's run as hard as he used to. Let's put it that way.
That's what me and Scott were saying yesterday too on the show, is maybe his best days are behind him, which if you're Derrick Henry, that's not what you want because you're about to hit free agency after this year.
Yep.
And maybe his best days are behind him. And I think he'd be in a Dalvin. I think he could be in a Dalvin Cook situation, which is nobody really wants him. He takes waits it out, and then they get there into the building, and then it's not as good as he thinks it is, and he's not as good as the team doesn't think he's as good as he thinks.
You also have to take into account that Spears made plays happen with a bad O-line yesterday. That's why everybody's saying they won't trade him, and they didn't. They were right, but at the same time, you could totally see why they would. Spears is playing very well, and shockingly, because I didn't think a kid with no ACL could run that fast. God, he's quick. But
Tanner, what's your thoughts? You think Derrick Henry's best days are behind him?
I mean, yes, I do think so.
Thank you,
when you have rushing stats of the last 5 years of 215, 303, 378.
1 year almost ran for 2,000.
349. Those are the attempts you've had since 2018. Not to count your almost 110, 176, 2 years for your first 2 years. You're already to 148. Obviously seeing a big decline. I'm trying to get it to where I can see last year's play because I'm curious. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Let's see here. When did he do the most defense in the rushing or damage in the rushing aspect? Tannehill went down week 10, right? No, it
Yeah.
went down before that. Week 9,
The
right?
Chargers.
Last
Yeah.
year, you talking last year?
Last year with the Chargers.
Yeah.
That
They had
was
that.
week
They had that
15.
picture of him in the blue tent. It was like free tanning, and he was just staring out. It was kind of funny.
But no, but he was out right for because Willis was there for the Chiefs game. In that one.
Yeah.
No,
Okay,
I'm just telling you when he got injured.
Yeah, he was out. He was injured then,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because Malik Willis was in for the Chiefs game, the Texas game, and the Colts, right?
Yeah.
That's where he did this most damage, and then he was crappy for 4 games, and he came back at the end of the year for a good 5.
Mhm.
Jaguars, Chargers, Texans, Cowboys, Jags. I just think he's I think the lack of offense that there is on the Titans right now, the lack of being able to push the ball down the field via pass is killing Derrick Henry right now. And you've already ran him into the ground, so you
Right.
can't really run him in anymore.
Well,
So yeah,
people-
you are kind of hurting him.
Unfortunately,
He's kind of passed.
unfortunately, fans don't see all the other things going on. They just see their guy not making it, and there has to be an excuse why. Right? Look, we used to run him into 9-thing boxes, and the guy would still get 6. And he's just not that guy anymore. So you're going to have to flip it up somehow. I don't know what that is or what you do, but you have to flip it up somehow. But it is what it is. The only thing about this year is
defenses are better too. The defenses
they've gotten
nowadays, I feel like in this year, compared to the last 3, are more prepared for the run versus any other team. Right? Pacheco struggle.
His heyday.
Brees Hall, who's struggling, even getting 50 yards. You got Derrick Henry, obviously struggling. We can go down the list here, and we can see running backs not blowing up as much as we've had in the past 5.
I think running backs had that heyday a couple years ago because guys were gearing up defenses to stop the fast passing attack of like the Chiefs and everything. So those guys were lighter and quicker. So when they had a Derrick Henry, a Brees Hall, a Chubb running downfield at them, it was a lot harder to make them
because the linebackers were smaller and skinnier, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because they were covering the pass. It's a pendulum thing. It swings one way back to the other.
Always does.
There's a big Diggs play for the Bills.
Goodness.
Yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts. We were kind of having a discussion off air about Jordan Love too, and I said, the thing with the Packers is, well, first of all, they can't stop the fucking run. So Joe Barry needs to go. I mean, you let Najee Harris and Warren look like freaking, Barry Sanders and Walter Payton out there yesterday. They ran all over us. I mean, just go freaking goal line and don't let the run game beat you, and just, you know what I mean? Make Kenny Pickett throw the ball.
Right. Engage 8 constantly. Just engage 8 every single time.
Yes. Yeah. Why not? Why not?
Yeah, I would.
Because we can't stop the run. I don't really know if Jordan Love is the guy or not. I said that, what I say? I said we had four games of 1-score losses. And I said, I felt like at the beginning of the year, I said that's probably what's going to happen. I wanted to see if that would be a thing, and it seems to be a trend. I don't think we definitely don't have a number 1 wide receiver. Christian Watson's on a milk carton. He can't be found. His dad come out and said some shit. I think I was reading on Twitter, when your daddy's stepping up for you, things are getting bad, but it's getting real loud for Christian Watson because he's nowhere to be found. He's on, like I said, he's on the back of a milk carton. It seems like, Aaron Jones, we're not giving him the ball. A.J. Dillon's looking better than he was at the first half of the season, so that's a plus. But so I just don't know I don't know who the problem is, other than the defense can't stop nobody. And I blame him for a lot of it because he didn't give this kid any help. They're all young receivers, so I don't really want to fully blame Jordan Love, but sometimes he can't. It doesn't look like he can throw the ball down the field, but can he not throw the ball down the field is because he doesn't have anybody to throw it down the field. So it's just a bunch of question marks.
So
do you just run this back next year and say, hey, see what happens one more year in growth?
Could be.
It's kind of weird, too, because you got Romeo Doubs with 59 targets, who leads the team, and Jaden Reed, your rookie, with 45. Who's second most on the team?
That's it said. Christian Watson's on a milk carton.
Christian Watson's sitting here 4th overall with 33 and 14 receptions. Like, what is going on?
Exactly. He's on a milk carton.
But also, from an outside standpoint, I wasn't impressed with the Christian Watson pick. Glad you did go receiver at some point in the draft that year, but
we do every second round receivers. He looked decent last year with Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? He had some big.
It's Aaron Rodgers throwing on the ball.
Well, I know that.
But
he was still getting separation, though. He was still getting separation, and he was still.
I bet you if we look back and watch the NFL Plus and see the broad field range, I guarantee you'll probably see a little bit more separation than what we're really seeing on the media today.
Yeah.
I guarantee you he's getting separation. It's not Sky Moore out there. Okay. This is a little better. Christian Watson's a little better here. Not much, but a little better. I just don't think Jordan Love has enough time to find him.
Yeah.
I don't know. He can't. It seems like every time when there is an interception, it's when he's thrown it to Christian Watson, and Christian Watson doesn't do a good job of high pointing the ball, and he doesn't do a good job of battling for the ball.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know the feeling.
You got it. It's just what it is, unfortunately.
Nick, Scott, and I are in depression mode. We're like, yeah, sounds about right. Sounds familiar. Yeah.
We got an offensive coordinator. If you want him, you can use him because he's.
No, I'm good. I'm good with Mr. Buttchin, Bill O'Brien.
B.O.B., baby.
Listen, I said it last night. Christian Watson doesn't get any separation, number one. Number two is that he's not as good as everybody thought he was, I don't think. He's more of a number 2, number 3 wide receiver on the team than a stud, a number 1.
Yeah.
So I think Green Bay in the offseason needs to make a decision whether they're going to change their philosophy and go after a top flight wide receiver via trade, draft, or free agency.
Hey, lose the rest of the way out and let us draft Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, that's
yeah, I agree. Because Christian Watson,
you act like the Green Bay Packers are going to draft a number in a first round.
I know that. That's I see that on Twitter. People are like, "Oh, let's go. Let's draft Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's go get this person in. Free agency." I'm like, what in the world? What in the track record of Gutekunst and even his protege? He was the protege of Ted Thompson.
Yeah.
For the last 20 plus years. What makes you think that we're going to go do that?
Yeah.
It's clear what my team's problem is, but it's O-line, and they sit there and on the radio, it's we should get Marvin Harrison Jr. And I'm like, who's going to pass to him from the ground?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. You need O-line. O-line is the only answer for the Titans in round 1, and I would be very put out if that's not.
Well, that's how you do it. That's how good teams do it. You look at the 49ers, and I'm just using them as an example. What do? They win. You build the team in the trenches. It's always test of time.
Yep. That's changed.
The 49ers have one of the best defensive lines, and when Trent Williams is there, and that was the huge difference in yesterday's game, look how difference he makes. You know what I mean? The offensive line makes everything. You know what I mean? If you build your team from inside out, you're going to be better. Yeah.
I mean, look at every good NFL team this year. What is the link between all of them?
O-line, right?
The trenches. The trenches. Yeah. Trenches are very good for those
Chiefs,
teams.
got a good O-line, good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Chiefs, great offensive line, great defensive line. Eagles, great offensive line, great defensive line.
Lions,
49ers, same thing. Lions, same thing.
Yep.
So that's what Green Bay, Tennessee, New England, all these teams that are so to speak on the bottom side of the NFL need to focus on in the offseason.
Well, you look at the Bears too. They're like, well, maybe we'll go get we'll get Harrison Jr. or we'll get Caleb Williams. Well, you're still not going to have anybody to block for Caleb Williams or to be able to, Marvin can't get the ball.
Right. But to be honest, their philosophy is, okay, Justin, just go out and run. Just go out and run.
We'll play your game, Justin.
Yeah, we'll mask the deficiencies in the offensive line if you just go out and run 8 to 12 times.
Could be your franchise QB though.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. Yeah. So to me, that's what the Bears have to work on. It's great to get all these great wide receivers and a great quarterback, but if you don't have the offensive and defensive line, you're not going anywhere in the NFL.
Don't you want Caleb Williams to be partial owner of the Bears? Right? Yeah. Come on, let him in, guys.
What a waste of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if he his
first
first NFL loss, what's he going to do? He's going to sob crying in the locker room after the game because he lost.
No, yeah, it's going to be like it's USC all over. Party dreams. No defense. No defense.
Where's my
No
caddy?
offensive line
I
or
can't
defense.
move at all.
Oh, God.
You put up 30 to 40 points a game, and your defense gives up 60, and you're like, I don't know what the fuck I gotta do. I don't know what else.
Sack up,
And
buddy.
the other
That's what
team
you
win.
do. Sack
I don't know
up.
what I gotta do. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't blame him.
Well, here's the deal with Caleb Williams. Talking about him, he said if he looks at the draft, he doesn't like teams getting drafted for. He's returning to college. You want to return to this?
I don't know how much. I don't.
College though now. Like, are you going to go through the haunting dreams of Lincoln Riley in the defense? Because it's not going to get any better.
No, it's not. What do we know about Lincoln Riley? He doesn't recruit.
I will say this about Caleb.
Report, I'll say that much.
We hear all that stuff, but we don't never hear him say it, right? Like we hear all this. He wants part ownership. Like, who is saying this shit? Because I've never seen him, words come out of his mouth and say this crazy shit that's happening. So I wonder if it's all rumors or
It could be his entourage, anything like that. Sure.
I do want to get you guys' thoughts here. I want to shift subjects on the James Harden. First he said in Philly, the reason, it didn't work out in Philly is because they try to make him a system, and he is the system.
Oh, God.
Since his team in Clipperland, he got traded to the Clippers. The Clippers have not won a single game since James Harden was there, while all his former teams look a hell of a lot better. The Sixers look better without him. The Rockets are better now. The Nets are better without him. I mean, I told you I didn't like this trade when the Clippers made it because of the cancer that is James Harden. Scott, what's your thoughts here on Mr. I am the system, James Harden?
I'll start with 4 words.
To play the game.
Serves you right, pal. Serves you right. Wanting out of these situations to go to a new situation, and you're getting what you deserve. He is not.
How long is it? How long it will it
He's going to be
until he gets tired of Clipperland and says, "I got to get out of here"?
No, it's in LA. He's not going to
break.
get tired of it this year. He'll get tired of it next year, but he's not getting tired of this year.
Yep. A year. Yep.
This has got to be his last stop, right? This has got to be his last stop.
Yeah.
Or somebody's going to look into him and just be like, "Hey, you're not worth the problem anymore."
Nick, when he doesn't get a $50 million contract, he's going to cry, moan, and complain, and he wants out of LA and he wants to go to Phoenix, someplace like that.
New Orleans.
New Orleans, someplace. Back to Oklahoma City, someplace like that. Sorry,
Some
pal.
teams are going to say you're going to have to come off the bench like they did with Russ and Carmelo eventually.
Yeah. He saw Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, and he said, I want to go play for that team. We're going to be good. I'm just going to fit right. He's not going to fit right in. He's not the team. It's not the franchise, not nothing. He's on the downside of his NBA career right now. He's on the downside, I think. So to me,
his best days are behind him, and
that's right.
He's never won anything. He did get the MVP. Let me ask you this, Scott. You're the East Coast guy, so would you rather have James Harden, prime James Harden, or prime Carmelo because they're about similar players?
Prime Carmelo because James Harden could pop off at any time. In terms of distancing, breaking your team.
Yeah, I felt like Carmelo, he stayed with the Knicks as long as he could, right? Like he wasn't asking to be traded every 3 months.
Yep.
No, he was.
I would, even though Carmelo is a bad influence on the playoff situation, I'd take him 1,000 times over than Harden. Harden has proven what he really is, which is a crybaby that wants out because he loved Daryl Morey in Philadelphia. He went there because of him. And then all of a sudden, in 2 short seasons, it was like, I hate this guy. Get me out of here.
Not even. It was like a season and a half.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
But like what is Daryl Morey doing? Like he just did that to you in Houston, and you bring him back to the Sixers where you have an actual chance again.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of stupidity is this?
Tanner, you send a link to Jim and John.
Yeah,
Oh, Jonathan said he needed a link.
needs it again.
I guess. I thought we already sent it.
So I don't know if you guys have brought this up.
Yeah,
What kind of ship are we running here, guys? Damn it.
Here's a question that I thought of in the last couple hours. Who's the second best team in the AFC right now?
The Ravens, Chiefs, Ravens.
Do we still think it's the Ravens after the
Yeah,
Chiefs?
they lost a
I
bad
already
game yesterday
clicked
to a
that,
good
Tanner.
division team.
Oh, I didn't click it. My bad. My bad. I didn't mean to.
As strange as this sounds, I'm leaning toward the Cleveland Browns. They're the second best team
Can't
in the
trust
AFC. Here's why.
Well, let's shift topics real quick because I know our guest is short on time, but he is live at the National at the Hockey Hall of Fame. Give it up for Jim Biringer, baby. Boots on the ground at the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
What's going on, boy?
Hey, there's
What's
2
going
people
on,
at the
boys?
top of the mountain, Jim, and you ain't number 2. Yeah.
Yeah, you know whose night it is. Yeah. What's going on, fellas? I figure I'd give you a few minutes of my time here. What's up, boys? How we doing tonight?
Jim.
So, Jim, really quick. I saw your post. Tom Barrasso, who I feel didn't remember when was going to the Hockey Hall of Fame tonight. Talk about his career. I think he's one of the most underrated goaltenders in his time. So talk about him.
Yeah, definitely one of the more underrated goalies. Came out of high school, drafted by the Buffalo Sabres. There's traded to Pittsburgh Penguins, Scotty Bowman connection. Bowman was there in '86 when they drafted him. And then, he gets traded to Pittsburgh. Scotty coaches there. They win 2 Stanley Cups. He plays in the Olympics. Up and down. Ken Reggett comes in, then Barrasso comes back. But just an unbelievable career. Definitely changed with the media from his days. Some great stories from Pierre Turgeon. If you're a goalie, don't shoot high or else he's going to end warm-ups. That's how intense he was, but very underrated, very deserving to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame this weekend.
Jim, what is going on in Edmonton, man? They're firing their manager. What is going on there? I guess it's not manager, coach. What is going on up there in Edmonton?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy what's going on in Edmonton. So it started last week. Obviously, the Oilers just not playing well this stretch to begin the year. Again, I don't understand how you put them ahead of Vegas, but defensively, they just weren't playing well. This is on Jay Woodcroft. I mean, look, he has to take some of the blame. The players took a lot of the blame today because Connor McDavid didn't really know about it. He wasn't really thrilled with it because he owned it. It was on the players, and the players failed him. Yes, Jay Woodcroft put in a poor defensive system. It just doesn't suit the players that they have. But it's also on Ken Holland, who's in the final year of his deal, and he's not going to come back. I've talked to multiple people that Ken Holland's done at the end of this season, and it's going to be whatever they're going to do. They're going to look for new GM. It's a mess. It's the old boys club. Paul Coffey, who is a director right now with the team, part of the management. He's, going to be on the bench. Is he going to only be there for a year? Chris Knobloch comes in, so they get rid of Jay Woodcroft. But Holland put this team up against the salary cap, and now they're in purgatory, as I like to say, because they really can't make any moves, and they're making sure Connor McDavid doesn't leave, and he's up in a little bit. Leon Draisaitl's up in a little bit, but they just don't play well, good defensively, and it's not just Jack Campbell or Stuart Skinner. Team defense is a problem for this team right now.
Jim, you're up and you saw the Maple Leafs play twice this weekend.
Yeah.
Talk about what you saw in them, because being in Boston, they're one of the competition with the Bruins for the playoffs. So just talk about what you saw with them.
Yeah, I mean, Toronto played a decent game. Again, another team that needs goaltending defensively. They weren't great against Calgary. They played a lot better against Vancouver, I would say. That fight with Giordano, with Domi, they got the crowd into it. William Nylander's going to get paid. It's just a matter of the number. He's holding at 10. He's holding at 10 million right now. They Maple Leafs want to offer him 8 years. Is it 10? Is it 11? Is it 12? But people I've talked with, it's probably going to be 12. Elias Pettersson's probably going to get 13. Would not be shocked by that. And, look, Toronto played a good team defense, but again, they can go to lulls at times, right? They did that against Calgary, up 4-1. Calgary's not the greatest. They have issues. Huberdeau, they're not playing well either. And then they let them back in, but Joe Wolf slammed the door at the right time. Samsonov looked good. But it was interesting to me seeing David Kampf play with Bobby McMahon, and I forget who the other guy was on that fourth line. Oh, David Gregor. And they looked really well, a zone time, scoring goals. And it's like, okay, so why is Ryan Reeves here for three seasons? Because he's not going to see the rest of the ice if I'm the coach. But again, there's a lot of game left, so maybe he can change something. But that team, they played well against a very good Vancouver team.
Yeah.
Jim, is there anybody there at the Hockey Hall of Fame you've been starstruck by?
I mean, you see these legends and your face lights up. You see Scotty Bowman, the guys you grew up watching, the Joe Sakic's, the Ray Borks are there. You see Patrick Waugh show up. You get to speak with some of these guys, and it's just Mike Modano for me, one of the greatest Americans ever. So, it's really good to see. It's really fun. It's a great experience, and just to talk with these guys and see what it means this weekend for them is a culmination of their hard work and sacrifice.
That's awesome.
Nick, is anybody Jim, is anybody starstruck by you?
We saw you on TV there.
Yeah, I made TV, so I made my.
How come you didn't hold up a sign promoting the show, Jim? geez, it's the second time.
Why'd you go double birdie? What's that about?
You know what I mean? You didn't have a sign say, "Hey, everybody, tune into the Let's Talk Sports show on the Let's Talk Sports Network on YouTube."
I forgot.
I thought we were close.
And I didn't mean to be in their shot, but I made my NHL Network debut on purpose, not on purpose. So, but I do. Look, I've made a lot of great contacts, up here, and the show, the things are only getting higher up. And you know what? It started here on Monday. It's only going to get bigger because, national recognition for what we do. So, hey, it's a great time to be up here. So I just wanted to give you some of my time tonight. Because it's Monday night and we like to talk hockey.
You got like 2 more. Jim, you got just like 5 more minutes for us.
Yeah, I got a couple more minutes. I know Lundqvist is going to talk in a few minutes, so I'd like to get up there.
All right, hold on. We got to bring in Jonathan. You need to help us settle this quick debate. We're going to bring in Jonathan Grishman. Jonathan Grishman is pounding for the Heisman Trophy for his guy from LSU. I told him he's an idiot. He's not winning the Heisman. So can you help us settle this debate, Jim? Who's winning the fucking Heisman?
It's somebody from the Pac-12. It's either Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr.
Oh, thank you, Jim. Thank you.
That's for the work.
This is so awkward. Both of our guests on at once.
So I can counter that, though. I can counter again.
Who's your pick? Who's your pick from?
Jaden Daniels is the Heisman Trophy. Here's the reason why. Again, I'll throw in as far as what he did this past week: 606 total yards of offense. 5 touchdowns, 350 yards passing, 250 yards rushing. The first player in SEC history to ever do that in a game. That in itself. I'll say this: I had this argument with a couple of my kids actually. That I coached here in Richmond.
Hey, Jonathan was preparing for us today.
But
he was
Heisman Trophy, the Heisman Trophy, for some reason by the media, has tied into being a national championship contender. That is not the case. And there is history to show that with Lamar Jackson, Caleb Williams.
I have no problem with that argument. And in fact, I think Jaden Daniels is going to be, if I had a vote and I was putting a Heisman ballot together, he's in my top 3 because of how much LSU I've watched.
So I'll go to the stats now. I'll go to the season stats. Jaden Daniels' completion percentage is 7th in the country. Yes. Ahead of Bo Nix is number 1 in completion percentage, but he's ahead. But Jaden Daniels is ahead of Michael Penix, who
Michael Penix
Jim, I'm sure you're talking about is one of the top, one of the Pac-12. Was that?
I said Penix got either more I looked it up too, Jonathan. Penix got more touchdowns, I think.
Hold
Or
on.
more passing yards.
Penix is 13th in completion percentage in the nation right there. So Jaden Daniels is 7th. We'll go to passing efficiency. Jaden Daniels is 1st in the country in passing efficiency. You go to, Bo Nix is 3rd. Caleb Williams is 6th. Michael Penix Jr. is 8th. Passing touchdowns. Jaden Daniels is 1st in the country with 30 passing touchdowns ahead of Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, and Michael Penix Jr. Passing yards. Michael Penix Jr. does lead the nation in passing yards. Jaden Daniels is 3rd in passing yards right behind them. So Jaden Daniels' passing yards per game is 2nd. Michael Penix Jr. is 1st. Total offense. Jaden Daniels is 1st in the country for total offense, passing and rushing yards. The statistics are saying that as far as consistency and where he is, he's always in the top. He's at least in the top 7. Penix is outside the top 10 in a couple of these stats in the nation. And so you can't, if you're going to talk about the best player overall, someone who's consistently at the top, that's Jaden Daniels. That is absolutely Jaden Daniels.
I have no issue with that argument, and I have no issue what he's bringing to the table because he's right. The Heisman Trophy is supposed to be the best player in college football, but it's turned into a quarterback who's played for a national championship, been in a playoff, been in an SEC title game, whatever. It is the best player in college football.
Let me throw one more out there. Let me throw one more stat for y'all. Both the top 3 Heisman candidates stats versus top 50 defenses. Bo Nix has played 1 game against the top 50 defense, 248 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 8 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Michael Penix Jr. played, I believe so.
Yeah,
Michael Penix Jr. has played in 4 games against top 50 defenses, 1,263 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, minus 25 yards rushing. Jaden Daniels has played against 5 top 50 defenses, 1,469 passing, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 486 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns. So against some of the top 50 defenses, Jaden Daniels has better stats than both Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix. So even against the best competition, he puts the stats up.
Yeah,
Jim, we're gonna let you go, Jim. I know you got to get back to it. We appreciate you joining us. Best of luck to you, and enjoy the night, brother.
All right, thanks, brothers. Always a pleasure.
Hey. Bye, Jim.
LA night, baby.
Yeah, hey, remember, host a sign, Jim, that says tune into the Let's Talk Sports show on the Let's Talk Sports Network.
You get the hell
so
out
I
Dude,
can back all those
eyebrows go down when he was like, "Let me tell you something."
I can back all those stats with Jaden Daniels, and I can
go
back all
sledding
that.
down those eyebrows. Just go sledding straight.
But here's the deal: the record is going to speak
That's what
volumes.
I think it's Scott. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
it's
get what
the
you're
record.
saying, Jonathan. It shouldn't be about the team at all times. Caleb Williams did play for the Pac-12 championship last year, and they did lose. We do know Lamar and I believe RG3, their teams were dog shit when they won it. But Michael Penix is going to be on TV more the next few weeks because we still got a few more weeks to go. If he balls out in that Pac-12 championship game, it leans towards him. And a guy you guys nobody said, who's the absolute best fucking offensive player in all of college football. His name is Marvin Harrison Jr. for the Ohio State. Not
Heisman candidate, dude.
You can't even say that because you have. I'll say this, you can't even say that about Marvin Harrison Jr. because and I'm not trying to be an LSU homer, so don't. Malik Neighbors for LSU has better stats than Marvin Harrison Jr. does.
Harrison has 1,000 yards receiving.
So does Neighbors. So does Neighbors.
They're close. I looked it up because I knew that was going to be your argument. You were going to come back to me and say Neighbors. So I looked it up. They're real close on 1 and 2.
I think Marvin Harrison Jr.
It comes down to Michael Penix is undefeated. On prime time.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels will be a finalist. Harrison will be a finalist. Bo Nix will be a finalist. Michael Penix will be a finalist.
They only put up 4 finalists, right? That's all they do.
So according to the NCAA.com, that's where I'm getting my stats. Malik Neighbors has the most receiving yards in the country with 1,284 yards. Marvin Harrison Jr. has 1,063 yards. That is as of yesterday. So these are updated stats. So Malik Neighbors leads the country in receiving yards. Harrison has them in touchdowns. Harrison has 12 touchdowns and Malik Neighbors is 10. But you split the statistics as far as on that side of it. Malik Neighbors is putting up just as good a stats as Marvin Harrison is. Looking at receiving yards per game, put that up there. Malik Neighbors is number one. Malik Neighbors is averaging 128 yards per game to Marvin Harrison Jr. 106.3 yards per game. So, again, you can't put Marvin Harrison Jr. as a Heisman candidate when he doesn't have the best overall stats of wide receivers, or he's not leading all. And I know what I'm going to say, but he's not leading all the stats of receivers. So he's not
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
But what goes in Harrison's favor over Neighbors is if you're touting Jaden Daniels, they're not going to have two LSU players as a finalist. They're only going to have one.
No, and I'm not advocating for Malik Neighbors to be a Heisman candidate, but my argument is against Marvin Harrison Jr. being a candidate when he doesn't have the best statistics as a receiver in the country.
Right, he'll be a finalist. He will be a finalist.
I think it's Penix, and it's just because if he balls out, if they finish undefeated and he balls out in the Pac-12 championship game. Because he gets another week
I'm more impressed by Bo Nix over Penix because Penix has struggled against teams he shouldn't be struggling against in the Pac-12.
The whole Washington team has, to be honest, at times.
Well, yeah, the whole Washington, but Oregon isn't.
And that's going. I think that's going to hurt either one of the quarterbacks in the Pac-12. Is you're going to have those two kind of being talked about more so than anything else, and as far as other candidates for the Heisman Trophy, it's going to be, is Bo Nix better than Michael Penix? Is Michael Penix better than Bo Nix? They're going to steal votes from each other. There's no question. Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the SEC. There is no question about it. He has put up year in and year out. And I'll say this, and I'll give you a chance, but nobody. The Pac-12, and you're talking about there's going to be more eyeballs watching Pac-12 games. No, there's not, though. Not according to and just because it's the Pac-12
in their Pac-12 championship game. LSU's done.
Sure. Pac-12 championship, but at that point, though, they've seen everybody's seen what Jaden Daniels is doing. He's doing things that no quarterback in the SEC has ever done, and that includes Joe Burrow.
So here's my question: do they shut off the consideration for voting on the last regular season game before the conference tournament championship games, or do they go through the championship games?
It still goes through the championship. It
goes through the conference championship games, but it doesn't go for the playoffs.
No.
So LSU would have to get to the SEC championship games.
It's already set. It's Alabama, Georgia. It's set.
It's Alabama, Georgia. Then I don't know if he get consideration. Even though I've watched him play 3 times and he's great.
Yeah,
he's great.
So we're looking at the odds. Let's look at the current odds, the best odds for Heisman, right? So Bo Nix is favored at plus 110, Penix Jr. at plus 380, Daniels at plus 425, Marvin Harrison Jr. at plus 600. Then you get into 4 quarterbacks in a row of Beck of Georgia, Miller of Bama, Travis of FSU, and JJ McCarthy quarterback, all ranging from 4,000 to 12,000 in that range.
Yeah.
So that's your bet after Marvin Harrison Jr.
I get what y'all saying as far as the conference championship and being in the contender and everything, but again, there is precedent where if you're not a contender for a national title, or if you're not a contender, even a conference title, you're still the opportunity to win a Heisman Trophy, and it's about the statistics on what you're doing. And right now, who has the best stats? Well, it's Jaden Daniels right now. He has the number one. He's number one in majority of the passing stats in the country, and I think you cannot. And I get Washington's winning games. Oregon's winning games, and I know they've already battled each other out. But at the same time, what's going to happen is they're going to steal votes from each other. They're going to take. It's going to be a conversation. Who's better? Well, we don't know, but we know who's the best quarterback in the SEC. And the SEC, regardless of what everybody feels about it, the SEC does reign supreme. It is the king of college football, and I think that's going to kind of side a little bit where if you had a clear cut, if it was Michael Penix over everybody else, I think you have a better argument. But because you have the conversation of Bo Nix and Michael Penix back and forth with each other as far as who's the best quarterback in that conference, I think it's going to hurt them in the voting. Whereas there is no competitor for the in the SEC of who's just as good if not better than Jaden Daniels.
So I will say to your argument, this is the loser. Well, I know TCU played in the national championship game, but I'm just kind of looking at the losers last year. So last year's losers were C.J. Stroud and Max Duggan. So they did have a chance to play for the national title, obviously. And then the other year where you talked about Lamar's year, Deshaun Watson and Baker were both finalists that year. Baker won the next year. Deshaun obviously played for the national title game. So, that doesn't look like it's going to be like a tiebreaker, right? Like, you know what I mean? So there is precedent, but I think it's Penix or I don't have a hard time getting behind Bo Nix personally, just because he's like 50 years fucking old and he's been in college. So that's just my own prejudice. So.
I remember that guy played for Auburn.
Let's say he is this year's Stetson Bennett, right? Is that what it is? I mean,
and then
that's what he is.
Basically.
Just
It
a better
strange,
version, I think.
it seems strange to me that one of the top 2 teams in the country all year long in Michigan doesn't have a guy that's going to be a finalist for the Heisman. Not one.
Harbaugh.
I do
calls
think
it America's
Harrison
team.
Jr. will be a finalist, though. Michigan might be the best team in the country. Hell, they didn't even need their coach to beat Penn State, and they still fucking won.
Their running back might be their best offensive player on the field. Corum, Blake Corum. He's got like 20 touchdowns. He's great, but he's not going to get it. He's not going to get a trip to New York for the Heisman. That's for sure.
No.
So,
I mean, you'll get 3 quarterbacks. They're going to get the 3 quarterbacks. You'll have Penix, probably Nix, and Daniels, and they'll bring Marvin Harrison Jr. there just to change it up and have a non-quarterback, and it'll be your top 4. And unless they go to 5, I don't know. They may only do 4 games, but not always done. But that'll be your top 4. Is those 4 going to be in New York?
do we have a defensive player that could possibly go to New York, like Woodson a few years ago? Heisman.
Who's the first defensive player? On the
They
list
got him
here?
in Sioux at 1 year. Aiden Hutchinson a couple years ago.
No,
Woodson
there is
went and won it.
nobody defensively that is currently open on betting at all for finalists.
Yeah. So
Aiden Hutchinson was runner-up 2 years ago to Bryce Young.
LSU Perkins Jr. is your first defensive guy. He opened at plus 10,000, and he is currently off the board.
And yeah, I mean he hasn't even had a great season to the standards of what everybody expected him to be to even have a conversation to be a Heisman finalist. So no, and
4 invited. So there's 4 that are invited. So there's your 4. There's your 4 easily.
yeah.
Jonathan, let's pivot. For speaking of LSU, while we're talking LSU, what the hell happened to the girls' basketball team? I mean, there's some girl out there, and their university about to be the new number 1 team, starting after tomorrow when the new polls come out.
no, the polls are already out. South Carolina's number 1. South Carolina's number 1. South Carolina's number 1. No, they won.
UConn. How did Iowa go from 3 and then the first 2 teams lost and they're not number 1?
South Carolina, Iowa 1-2. That's it.
Some bullshit.
This is you're bringing up as far as LSU basketball losing against Colorado in the season opener.
I didn't want to say it out loud, but sure, yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think. We're in November, right? It's November.
Troll job. Wow.
Let's talk in March. Let's figure out.
Baby. We will.
Let's figure out when in March, because again, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, LSU is still the best team in the country. Again, we're the best team. Okay, we had a bad opening. Nobody cares about college basketball, women's or men's.
I do.
Not in November. I'm talking about in November. Nobody cares about college basketball in November. Nobody watches college basketball until you get until midway through conference. Nobody cares.
What are you talking about, Nick? What are you complaining about Iowa not being number 1? You played FDU, Virginia Tech, and UNI, for God's sake. Meanwhile, South Carolina played Notre Dame, Maryland. Like, you're telling me you face these cake cooks. Are you Michigan? We beat
Virginia Tech. They were the number 8 team ranked in the nation. and 1 and 2 fall, how does the South Carolina jump over us? That's what I'm saying.
Because they played real teams.
You
Both
beat
games.
Virginia Tech. They were the number 8 team in the nation.
A school and a half. Congratulations.
And we got the best girl playing. We got the best player in the nation.
I ain't talking about Caitlin. Congratulations.
All I can do is this again, and then doing that. We got the ring and back in March. I mean, we can talk about that again. All right, we'll talk about that.
They were new season. That was last year. We're on this year. We're talking new season.
We're 1 week into the new season. We're 1 week in.
You guys lost. I'm asking what happened to Colorado and Colorado.
Nick, talk to me. Talk to me in March. I don't care about November college basketball. I don't care.
Jonathan.
Yeah. I don't see Virginia Tech in this top 5 list or the top. Oh wait, there's Colorado at number 5.
Yep.
Virginia Tech was ranked number 8 when we beat them.
Jonathan.
Yeah. Well, now they're number 9.
This is Nick's thing. He has the Dolphins in fraud alert, and he has the LSU women's basketball team on fraud alert. They're like right next to each other. It's Nick.
Well, no, I believe LSU women's really good. The Froffins, on the other hand, are frauds. Just like Jonathan.
The flagellant Dolphins.
Yes, the fraudulent Dolphins. Hey, should they? Speaking of the Saints, is it Jameis? Will they just play Jameis the whole way? As a Chris Olave fantasy owner, will you please just make a call down there and tell them to play famous Jameis?
First you go after his team, and then you're like, "Hey, can you do me a favor?
Can you do me a favor?"
This is where I'm at now with my Saints.
Fire
Allen. Fire Dennis Allen.
They're going to make the playoffs, though. They can make the playoffs.
This is not working. It's not working. Like, it's just I am out on Dennis Allen. I had belief that he could be a good head coach. I bought in and I ate the gumbo and thought that we could make this work. And Dennis Allen being home in New Orleans, and he's done such a good job with that defense. I bought into it, and I continue to see inconsistencies, which has plagued him as a head coach throughout his time when he was in Oakland with the Raiders, and at times, even at times as a D coordinator, as great of a D coordinator is, there were moments at times where you look at it and say, "Man, what is going on with the defense?" I.e., look at what happened against Minnesota, a team that didn't have Kirk Cousins, a team that didn't have Justin Jefferson. Alexander Madison got knocked out halfway through the game, and they were still able to put 27 points on the board against us. 24
only been on the team less than a week.
It's because you got the man Josh Dobbs.
The legend of Josh Dobbs.
There is no reason that should have happened. So I'm out on Dennis Allen. I'm out on Pete Carmichael. Fire the entire staff. Rebuild the coaching staff because there's too much talent still. There's still too much talent on this team for this to happen. To go to Minnesota, which again we don't have good luck in Minnesota. We don't, and it doesn't matter if it's in the Metrodome or in that or the Bank Stadium that they're in now. It doesn't matter if it's Randall Cunningham or Dante Culpepper or Kirk Cousins or freaking Josh Dobbs at quarterback. It doesn't matter. We just don't play well. I hate to even say the name Case Keenum with the Minneapolis Miracle freaking play. It doesn't matter who's going, as long as it stop it, Sam. Stop it. It doesn't. We just don't do well against Minnesota. But it doesn't. But if you're a better team, you're the better team, and you let a team that had a quarterback who's been there 1 week put up 24 points at halftime, it's unacceptable as the head coach. I am out on Dennis Allen. I am absolutely 100% out.
What if they make the playoffs?
Sell Derek Carr. I'm rebuild. I want to draft a quarterback. I've been asking for the Saints to draft a quarterback early for God knows how long. Even when Drew Brees was still a quarterback in New Orleans, you needed the future. You needed a plan for future. Kicking the can down the road does not mean a Super Bowl is coming. But if you develop players and you develop a quarterback with the rookie deal that you're supposed to do, you can actually be a competitor for 3 to 5 years. And I've been asking for the Saints to draft one, and we get a 5th-round quarterback every 3 years. I'm frustrated. Even though we are a first-place team still, it doesn't feel like it. I kind of hope I almost want to just say, no, let's not be in the playoffs because we're going to be a first-round knockout if we make it. What's the point at that point? I want to at this point lose, fire Allen, move on, and clean house, and just do things, start over, so we can get ourselves
playoffs
back
and have
to
a
being.
losing record. Still, they could still have They might make the playoffs with a losing record. They might.
Yeah, but
be,
they're gonna play Dallas in the first round, and that's a no-go for me. Same thing as last year. Dallas was the 5th seed, played the worst division winner, and that was in Tampa, and the game was over. That was
yes,
it.
We knew this was a disaster a few weeks ago with the Olave being upset situation. The New Orleans Raiders are just continuing to Raider again, and it's just not good. It's plain and
I
simple.
won't
The
go that
New
far.
Raiders are Raiders.
I won't go that far that this is the New Orleans Raiders, because we're still a more functional organization than the Raiders are.
The Raiders are turning around. 2-0 with Mr. Pierce at the head coach.
No, but I'm talking about the structure of the organization. I'm talking about the structure of the franchise. I'm talking about as far as the.
Your franchise is still. I'll still keep it way.
We're a long way away from paper bags, my friend. We are a long way. That is a long time ago. Our paper bag days are long past us. So I mean,
stay away from that.
I don't really know about that.
That was 35 years ago. I wasn't even alive when the.
No,
that was Jim Mora days. That was a Jim Mora days.
You're literally legitimately one coach and one quarterback removed from those days. Before the Sean Payton and Drew Brees era, you guys were dog shit then.
We had we had some success with Jim Haslett as our head coach.
I mean, what do you consider a success? A wild card every once in a while, once every 3 years?
I think with the Saints.
Hold on. We beat the greatest show on turf, St. Louis Rams.
I remember that.
Hakeem dropped the ball play where Brian Mill recovered the fumble that won the game.
Aaron Brooks was the quarterback then. Aaron Brooks.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Willie Jackson had a hell of a ball game that day. Y'all couldn't stop Willie Jackson.
They still weren't very good. It's not like they were Super Bowl team. Like, you know what I mean? Under Sean Payton and Drew Brees, you guys are Super Bowl contenders year in and year out. That's what I'm getting at. That you sustained success with that. And now,
but were you? Oh,
there?
Good. He muted.
Oh,
okay.
Nick's gone again.
I'm back.
Okay.
Every year they were a Super Bowl contender under those two.
He had to catch his breath. He had to catch his breath.
I just want Jameis to play. Can they play Jameis? Because at least he throws the ball 20 yards down the field to Olave. Sometimes it might be to the other team, but at least it's
but he's too reckless. He's too reckless to just throwing downfield. He throws in the double coverage. Yeah.
Which that just shows how much influence Sean Payton had on Jameis, because the year that he was starter, the 5 games he was a starter, he did not throw interceptions all that, but he had 2 interceptions, I believe. And that was Sean Payton's influence. Now you take Sean Payton away and kind of back to the Bruce. We're kind of seeing the Bruce Arians, no risk it, no biscuit, Jameis Winston again. Mm-hmm. And I'm out of it. Look, this is such a good quarterback draft class in 2024. My God, hell, they have a kid that's just down the road in New Orleans, and Michael Pratt at Tulane University, who probably you can draft him in the 2nd round. He's a damn good quarterback.
Can I interest you in Jordan Love?
Huh?
Would you like Jordan Love? Can I interest you in a trade with Jordan Love?
You can't pay enough draft picks to take Jordan Love. I'm sorry.
No. Sam will give you what's the backup to Will Levis? Not Tannehill.
I've got a Tannehill here. And
you want a Malik Willis?
Yeah. We have Taysom Hill if you want to do something like that.
Yeah.
Mac Jones might be available.
Oh God.
No,
he is. You can have him for nothing.
I want to draft a quarterback. I want you give me Michael Pratt from Tulane. I don't care. Like, give me somebody that we can develop and have a rookie
Josh
contract.
Dobbs is a free agent next year. Yeah,
Dobbs might be playing himself into a pretty decent contract next year as well, though. So
he might be talking
on the aeronautical UT grad. Okay,
the Pastronaut's doing really well. He impressed the hell out of me. So I want to draft a quarterback in New Orleans. I want the Saints to draft someone not in the 5th round, not in the 7th round. I want either 1st or 2nd round quarterback that we can absolutely 100% develop in after we fire the coaches, after we bring in an offensive coordinator that actually knows how to develop quarterbacks. Bring in people who can develop draft somebody in the first and second round, and then we can go and get younger. We're an old team too. We're still an old team. Like, and that's hurting us even more so. We got to get younger and get more athletic in certain areas on this team, and that's something that's hurting us more than anything else. Starts at quarterback.
Is this Michael Thomas? Don't park in my fucking parking spot. Is this his last year?
It was don't park in front of my house. That was what the whole incident was.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, either way, I'm just trying to do my
is.
job. You know what I mean? I'm a construction worker, just trying to do my job, and this guy's coming to fucking throw a brick at me.
Well, okay. So according to the local media, he never threw a brick. So that was a misreport.
Oh, okay. That's that. Well, I mean, I was reading on ESPN.
Correct. Local media. The local media came out and said he didn't throw a brick at the car, and he didn't throw the guy's phone. He took the phone away and then handed it, and then was able to hand it back to him afterwards. But he never so there was never really an assault. But that's semantics on the whole situation.
Where'd the brick thing come from? Where'd the bricks come from?
Because of the construction workers, because of the workers that were doing the house. They had bricks all around.
If he didn't throw the brick, did he have a brick in his hand or something?
He threatened to. He threatened to throw a brick. He threatened to throw the brick. He had a brick in hand. He threatened it, but he didn't. But according to the local reports and as well as for the police itself, that he didn't throw the brick at the car. But again, this is more likely Michael Thomas's last year. And again, you're going to have to figure out what to do with Olave too, because Olave probably is not going to be happy to be returned either. He's almost turning himself into Brandon Cooks, who was in New Orleans at the beginning of his career, and he threw a tantrum at times, and he got himself traded. I can almost say this. I can almost say the same thing that happened to Olave right now. Especially if you the problem is that for New Orleans is you cannot commit to a full rebuild. You just paid Derek Carr, who you have to pay him for another for next year as well. He's a 3-year contract. It's guaranteed. The first 2 years are guaranteed. So you have to pay next year before you can do anything that you want to do to him after that. So after the 2024-2025 season, you can move on from him and not have to pay him. So that's the hard part about this whole situation that the Saints are in. They keep putting themselves, kicking the can down the road in this hole, and they cannot rebuild in certain areas that they want to rebuild in, and that's the hard
purgatory hell. This is the worst spot to be in. Is that mediocre where you're not awful, you're too good to be bad, where you can't get a high draft pick, and you're not good enough to be, you're bad enough to, you're not good enough to be good to make the fucking playoffs to make a run.
As someone whose team has kicked the can as far as it can go, I can tell you it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it at all.
And that's the thing about it with the Saints front office with Mickey Loomis and even the capologist of the Saints, Kai Hartley. The salary cap doesn't exist. They don't. They call it. They basically treat like it's a myth. They treat like it's not a real thing. And they find again they're geniuses on how they handle this. They're absolutely geniuses on how they handle where they can still sign players and do what they need to do. But at some point, you have to pay the piper. When guys are 33, 34, and 35 years old, and 36 years old on the offensive line, or you're missing on certain players that you draft, and that you're trying to fill holes in, i.e., Marcus Davenport, Peyton Turner on the D line, Trevor Penning on the offensive line. You're missing on certain areas that you cannot miss on, and that hurts you down the road for certain areas that, again, what do we always talk about in the NFL and even college football? You win games in the trenches, and
we just had the discussion.
And they are missing on draft picks at those spots. Yeah. Trevor Penning was a first round pick, and he's a miss. Right now, the only way they can save his career is probably moving the guard. He's supposed to be the starting left tackle this year. Well, that's not going to happen. Marcus Davenport was a bust and a half when you drafted him 5 years ago. Peyton Turner followed. He's been a bust right now too. So you're not. You've got a 33-year-old or a 34-year-old Cam Jordan. You've got undrafted players that you've developed and done well in D tackle and Malcolm Roach. But that's you got to be able to get what you got to hit. The teams that are succeeding are hitting on their first-round picks or hitting on their second-round pick. Why 2017 was known. Why the 2017 draft for the Saints is one of the best drafts they've had in their history, because you hit on the first-round pick, you hit on your second-round pick, you hit on your third-round pick, which was Alvin Kamara, you hit on your fourth-round pick, you hit on Trey Hendrickson in the sixth-round pick, I mean, Alex Anzalone, who was a good linebacker for you, was in the 4th round. He's went to Detroit. He's been killing it in Detroit. I mean, that was one of the great drafts. You hit on almost every round that you drafted somebody. And since then, it's been miss in the first 2 rounds. And, you put yourself in a hole where you have to go and sign players or overpaid players in free agency. And at some point, they're 33 years old, and you're like, well, how do we get younger? Well, we can't get younger because we just paid them a guaranteed contract for 4 years, and we have to find a way to restructure it, kick the can down another 2 years, void years. That's going to increase our cap hell for where we're in about $80 million in the red, and you can't do anything about it.
Oh my God, this sounds like incredibly familiar. How much am I paying Tannehill? $32 million. How much was I paying Byron? $31 million.
Yeah.
God.
Here's another thing. What are they going to do with Kamara after the season? Are they going to let him walk too, or are they going to try to sign him to a new deal?
It depends. It depends on how much guaranteed money he has left. That's the issue for Kamara. Again, you cannot trade him. You can't trade him and then take the dead cap. That's the issue.
Well, nobody's making trades for running backs. They'll wait until they hit the open market, and then nobody's going to give him. Nobody's going to trade for you, especially with that contract that he's got. You know what I mean?
But the way they pay running backs, he's going to get a 3-year deal for $8.5 million or something like that. Not
even 3 years, 2 years probably. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to pay him.
At this point, you're going to have to trade Kamara because
fumble the Bills guy.
You're misusing him. They're not even. Again, he went a whole 3.5 quarters until he got a freaking catch on a screen that only went 2 yards. They're not using him the way that it was supposed to be used for years. That Sean knew how to use him. Pete Carmichael, Pete Carmichael wasn't even around when Sean Payton was been the head coach of the Saints. He almost seems like he forgot how the offense was run. And now he's like, okay, well, I'm going to use Alvin Kamara as a traditional running back. He's not a traditional running back. Use him as a pass catcher. Put him in the slot. But we're going to keep running out there Taysom Hill, which I love Taysom Hill. He's just a great, just a football player. He's a great football player. But you're running him as a tight end and a slot receiver when you have one of the best running backs, who's one of the best pass catching running backs in the NFL. Put him in the slot. What could he do against the linebacker in the slot, or what could he do against the safety in the slot? He would torch those guys. No, we're not going to do that.
And remember that guy Jamal Williams they signed in the offseason. What is just nothing?
He's basically he's only a blocker right now.
He's only sitting around collecting a paycheck.
Like it makes no. That's why. And it goes back to what I'm saying. I am done with the coaching staff. I've been done with Pete Carmichael for weeks, and I've given the benefit of the doubt to Dennis Allen. At this point, I'm done with both. I'm absolutely done with both.
If they do move on from Dennis Allen, who would you like to see there as the new head coach in New Orleans?
I'd have to see. Find somebody who's a young up and coming coach, offensive minded coach. That's what
Ben Johnson from the Lions would be my guess.
I'm trying to remember. Who's the offensive coordinator? Ken Dorsey? Is he the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills?
Well, I wouldn't take him.
You see how garbage the Bills look this year?
Oh, he's terrible. Terrible.
You don't want
you're going to take a risk. You're going to take a risk on somebody.
So, Jonathan, here's who's going to be in the mix. Arthur Smith will be out there. Staley will be out there. Belichick may be out there.
You don't want any of those retrends. Do not do a retrend quarterback.
No, right. It has to be. It has to be a young up and coming coach. Hell, I'll call Kellen Moore. I'll call Kellen Moore and say, hey, would you be interested in doing this?
Yeah.
I'm looking at somebody I'm just looking at somebody who's an up and coming coach that's going to look for his first head coaching job. And try and to see if we can get something development going. And obviously, for anybody, if it's Dorsey or if it's Moore, you're going to need to get some experienced coaches around them. But it's got to be something. It's got to be fresh. New Orleans needs something fresh right now because we had Sean Payton for 15 years, and again brought us to Super Bowl, and everything was great and all that. And he retires and leaves, and then we bring in Dennis Allen and keep the same coaches, and we're going to keep running the same system, but it's not fresh anymore. We need a fresh mind, a fresh system, a restart to be able to take the next chapter of this franchise in the direction that we need to get to.
Yep.
But here's what the Chargers may do, and the Chargers, I will guarantee you they'll do that. Brandon Staley gets fired. Kellen Moore gets hired as the head coach before anybody has a chance to call them and ask to talk.
Yeah, I think so too, Scott. I think that's.
I mean, hell, I'll call Michigan. I'll call Jim Harbaugh. At this point, why not? I mean, he's a winner. Jim Harbaugh's a winner.
He might be in Chicago, but which would make sense. But
more likely,
I think the Lions OC who Sam said
Ben Johnson.
Yeah,
Ben Johnson
would make.
Yeah. But will he want to go down to New Orleans because he turned down jobs this past off season? Is he going to want to go down to New Orleans and deal with that crap that's going on?
It seems like if Detroit, let's just say if Detroit wins the fucking Super Bowl, then I think so. It seemed like he went back to Detroit this year to finish this job, right? Like they're all buying in to this Dan Campbell, and kudos to everybody who is, because they are fucking one of the best teams in the league right now. But it was like, hey, we're not finished here. Like they have this mission to finish, to do something special in Detroit, right? Like it to win a Super Bowl in Detroit would be very special, I think. So I think that's the reason he stayed.
He loves murder analogies. He just loves it when, the head coach talks about murdering people, about winning games.
This is my fear. This is my fear about what's going to happen in New Orleans. They're not going to fire Dennis Allen this year. They may move on from Pete Carmichael at the end of the season, but they're not going to fire him because they're attaching Dennis Allen and Derek Carr. Derek Carr has, again, signed a 3-year deal. 2 of the years are guaranteed. The 3rd year is not guaranteed. So he's attached. So they're going to keep Dennis Allen for 2024, 2025, because Derek Carr is going to be here for 2024, 2025. And if it has another down year, then he's going to be let go at that point. So we're going to, again, Saints fans are probably going to have to endure another year, another season with Dennis Allen being the head coach in New Orleans before. Which, I mean, maybe if we talk about it right now as far as the candidates that are out there, there's probably not really that many candidates that are going to be knocking on the door in New Orleans. So if that's the case, then okay, you're going to have no choice to keep Allen another at least another year. Because again, I don't think Lincoln Riley is going to come down to New Orleans because he's more likely waiting for the LA Chargers job or the LA Rams job if it opens up with McVay wanting to either go to the TV booth or whatnot. So Lincoln Riley is probably not interested in that aspect of. I agree that Kellen Moore could be an option. They screwed up. The Saints screwed up when they didn't interview Doug Peterson. They screwed up because Peterson, who's from Louisiana, wanted the New Orleans Saints job. He wanted that job. And Mickey Loomis and the Saints didn't even call him. Like, he wanted that job because he's good friends with Sean Payton. And he got Sean's blessing when Sean left and retired. Sean gave him his blessing to say, yes, you can go ahead, make the phone call. Mickey Loomis and them didn't even answer. They didn't answer, and they didn't call Doug to come and interview. You had Doug Peterson wanting to come to New Orleans, and you decided to keep Dennis Allen to be the head coach. That's where they screwed up from the beginning.
Two things. The reason why they didn't go out and interview hardly anybody. They knew Dennis Allen was going to be their guy. These were fluff interviews with the other candidates at the time. Number 2, Lincoln Riley would come to New Orleans if the Saints drafted Caleb Williams.
But we're not going to get to. We're not going to get to. We're not going to be. We're not.
You don't think they try to trade up if they knew they had Lincoln Riley in their back pocket to do everything they could to trade up?
That doesn't mean what are you going to do?
That's
You're going to
do assets.
Yeah,
I don't see
what they do for Ricky Williams. Sell up five first round.
That's not going to happen again.
How far has Caleb Williams' stock fell?
He's still a top 5 pick. He'll still be a
top 3 pick. He's still top 2 or 3.
I'm saying at worst, he's a top 5 pick at worst. Because it's going to be him and Drake May is 1 and 2.
Well, I mean, if the Bears have 1 and 2, they could take 1 and then Harrison.
But 1 and 2 as the quarterbacks in the draft. They're going to be the top 2 quarterbacks. So Michael Penix is working his way into the top 15, possibly top 10. Bo Nix, maybe a first-round pick, and how he's playing and developed. Maybe he could be considered a first-round pick. But Caleb Williams is not falling. It's just not going to happen today. If you're going to look at – I'm okay for the Saints drafting Michael Penix. I love Michael Penix Jr.
I don't know if he'll fall. If you guys make the playoffs, you're looking at picking somewhere in the 20s.
Which is why I say draft Michael Pratt from Tulane in the second round.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. Michael Pratt is a baller. I don't know if anybody watched the Tulane USC Cotton Bowl game last year. I did. Oh my God, he impressed the crap out of it. And I know USC's defense is not a great defense. It wasn't last year, and it certainly isn't this year. But it's Tulane University, Tulane in New Orleans, and he balled against USC and be able to just out and I won't say he went shot for with Caleb Williams, but he didn't let Caleb Williams outperform him.
No, he didn't. I think, gosh, man, that would be a lot of more a better hometown environment, for everybody.
Oh yeah,
and that would energize the place up big time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You didn't have to win, that would just bring the energy. It's like Pickett in Pittsburgh. It just brought a little bit more energy.
The only way you can energize the fan base even more for the Saints, just because, and I know it won't happen because for some reason New Orleans Saints don't like drafting LSU players, is if you draft Jaden Daniels. And maybe that might be an option in the second or third round is a Jaden Daniels pick. I mean, he's showing he can play quarterback at a high level against top level competition. He's moved up the draft because at the beginning of the year they were talking about him being a 6th-round pick. I think he could be a 3rd-round pick right now.
Yeah.
Breaking news coming across here. The Brewers get their new manager. They promote bench coach. Their bench coach.
Murphy. Did we get Murphy in?
When I lost the report here. Pat Murphy.
Let's go. I like Murph. I'm good with it. Let's go, baby.
The new Brewers manager. Jonathan, it's been reported too that Shohei is okay with taking a short-term deal. I know you think he's interested in Atlanta. Everything I read obviously says Chicago. Even if I didn't read that, I would just believe him speaking into existence. But I have read that there is obviously mutual interest in both, and so it'll be to the highest bidder. But what do you make of him saying, "Hey, I don't have to have a 10-year deal"?
It's interesting. And that's kind of backwards in MLB is how they look at contracts, and I don't know how the players union is going to be very. I don't think the players union is going to be very happy about that because again, long-term deals means much more guaranteed money down the road as well. So, and that's all the players union cares about is they want those long-term deals for that. So, but it's interesting because at the same time it makes sense for at least for the team and for Shohei because Shohei's he's not 24 years old. He is he's been around the league for he's been in the league for 5 years and he's going to be in his 30s here pretty soon, or if he's not already in his 30s right now. I mean, so a short-term deal makes sense for everybody that's involved in with Shohei being able to just say, hey, because at the same time, he's already losing 1 year to not pitch with, going under having Tommy John surgery. So he's only going to be a DH. As I kind of said before, the unicorn aspect of Shohei is gone for at least one season. Let's see how he comes back from, Tommy John in year 2 of this. So
he's 29. He'll be 30 July 5th.
Okay, so he's 20. Yeah, so I kind of figured that on. But so if he signs a 3-year deal, the first year he's only a DH, and the year 2, year 3 comes back and he tears it up and is pitching and hitting and is doing all. Then you get to turn around and say, okay, now I want my 5-year deal, and there'll still be a team when he's 33 years old. A team's still going to give him his 5-year deal, just because again he's Shohei Ohtani, and you're expecting this to continue to go down this road. So I think it makes sense because the value has dropped with him only being a DH for the first year. The value of him has dropped. The injury, I think this is the second Tommy John. If I'm correct on that,
it is.
Second one. So the value is not as high as we were talking about this 5 months ago, 6 months ago. So, it makes a lot of sense for everybody involved if he signs a 2 or 3 year deal and reestablishes his value to be the unicorn of baseball, and then cashes in that last big contract that he's going to get for the rest of his career at that point. So it makes sense on for Shohei to do so. And if I'm a team, I'm looking at it and go, perfect. I can sign Shohei for 3 years. I increase the value of my franchise because we're going to make so much money on Ohtani jerseys. The revenue of ticket sales is going to skyrocket. We're going to be on national TV probably almost every other week or whatnot, and because of Shohei pitching or Shohei playing, even if he's just a DH. So it makes so much sense for a lot of teams. Teams like you and your team and my team, the Cubs and Braves, are probably more inclined to do a shorter term contract than a 10-year deal that he was initially talked about wanting, that the Dodgers and Rangers and Mariners could do. So that's where I kind of look at it and say that it's intriguing, at the same time interesting to put that it's going to open probably a couple more teams that are involved.
Jonathan, who is the one player? Take Shohei out of this now. Who is the one player you're watching to see where he goes this offseason? Trade, free agency. Who's the one interested player that you see moving?
The one whose agent has been the most talkative, and that was Juan Soto, just because Scott Boras, again, we had our annual, we get through the meetings that can take place with the teams. We also have our annual Scott Boras, press conference that he wants to make himself relevant to all of Major League Baseball and the fans and the teams. So he spoke out and said, well, I don't expect my player to get traded. Well, the Buster Olney comes out and says, no, it's 100% more likely going to be traded. It is Soto. So it's more of a chicken fight between Olney and Boras on who's going to be right.
I can't stand Boras.
Well, Boras doesn't, and I said this as well before. Boras doesn't want his clients traded because it depreciates the value. Because the team that trades for Juan Soto is going to push to sign an extension.
He wants his team guys to get the free agency.
Correct. Boras does not, and Boras is going to tell him, we're not signing an extension. We're going to wait till we go to free agency. Then you have your chance to sign him from there, because that's where he wants he wants a bidding war, which all agents do. All agents want a bidding war on their players because it just means it's more money for them. But at the same time, that 3% that he gets is going to be a whole lot more money in his own pocket. So it makes sense for why he pushes for that be the case. But obviously, again, if a team wants to make a trade for him, and the Padres are interested and they're pushing to trade Juan Soto because they know they didn't get the value and what they were hoping to get out of him for what they gave up for him, turn around and flip him now, and you can put those resources elsewhere, because obviously I think they'd probably rather have Blake Snell still return and leading the pitching staff with Yu Darvish. You can use the resources and that you get for trading Soto to do that. I think they'd be a little bit more happy with that aspect, and then you can go and plug and play somebody else at that spot. But I'm interested to see what happens with Soto. Is he gets traded? And there's so much conversation. The Yankees are having conversations with the Padres. Well, the Yankees don't have the resources. I got asked. What if they package Gleyber Torres? I'm like, well, you're gonna have to package Torres and Luis Severino with some prospects to even make that conversation in place. But if I'm the Padres, Gleyber Torres, where are you gonna play him? Because you have Xander Bogaerts playing shortstop, you have Manny Machado playing third base, you have Jake Cronenworth playing second base, and he can move him to first base, but that's not his natural position. So where do you play Torres in the infield? It's full. And then Severino, you're gonna expect Severino to replace Blake Snell in the rotation? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So the prospects that you're going to have to get up for the Yankees does not even move the needle for the Padres to say, yeah, we'll take Torres and Severino with 2 or 3 of your top prospects, and we'll make that. It doesn't make sense. So I don't see how the Yankees are continuing to have this conversation or even be involved. I know it's the media pushing that hope, that they're wanting that to be the case. But Soto's an interesting. It's just interesting to see what's going to happen. Is the Padres going to trade him? Is he going to stay and then be traded at the deadline? I kind of lean with what Buster Olney is reported, that he will be traded. It's just a matter of where is he going to go to.
If they lose Snell, they'll never recover. They'll never recover. You can lose Soto and you can fill his position. If you lose Snell, that pitcher staff is toast. Toast.
Dog. Dog, you know what?
I don't know. They still got you, Darvish.
Over.
Dude,
Yeah,
use
but
a kid
Snell-
there, man. Come on.
Yeah.
He's not that.
Darvish is not a number one anymore, though. That's the thing. Darvish is not
Yeah.
a number one
I
pitcher.
agree. I agree with you.
No.
So you're banking on a rotation led by Joe Musgrove and Yu Darvish.
Toast.
I mean, I know the NL West pitching right now is not great. Well, the Dodgers don't have great pitching right now, but they are getting Walker Buehler back.
Yeah.
And that's going to help them out. I know that Gosling's done for the year. Kershaw's going to miss time majority of the year as well next year. But you're getting Walker Buehler back in LA, and that's going to help them a lot, especially with some of the young pitchers that got experience this year. They're not going to be the LA Dodgers are not going to be gone completely. They're going to still be very competitive. So if you're talking about the Padres rotation without Snell and you're banking on Musgrove and Darvish to lead that pitching staff, you're in trouble with that.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Has Rhys Hopkins played his last game in the Phillies? Because now that Bryce is going to go full-time first base.
Yes, I think Hoskins, and I think it's been kind of known for a while that was going to be the case, especially after the injury he had with the ACL, and then the conversation was going to be, they're going to have to have Harper play first base or DH, flip flop him back and forth, just because I think they kind of said the days of him in the outfield are probably done with the arm injury he had. So you look at it and says, well, who are we gonna bank on more? We're gonna bank on Bryce Harper, or we're gonna bank on Rhys Hoskins. So the writing's been on the wall for Hoskins. The knee injury that absolutely didn't help his case to stay in Philadelphia. And it opened the opportunity for Harper to be the full-time first baseman, which is what the plan was beginning. And they came out and said, recently he is the everyday first baseman now. So unless Hoskins wants to take a pay cut, be a DH in Philadelphia, which I don't think that's going to be the case because they have Schwarber, who's going to be the DH at time majority of the time. Philadelphia's going to probably look to now. They're going to have to look for outfielders to help plug and play because what are they going to do about Nick Castellanos? There's talks about him being traded. You got to have to fill some spots out in the outfield because then if you can get a couple of outfielders, Schwarber now becomes your full-time DH because they don't want him in the outfield. He's one of the worst outfielders in baseball. So putting him as a DH just kind of made the writing on the wall that Hoskins was out of Philadelphia. He was done in Philadelphia. It's a matter of now where is he going to go from there?
No, dude. I believe the. Sorry, go ahead, Scott. I'll let you go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tanner.
I was going to say the Phillies, you might see a little bit of a change in their lineups for this offseason here. Some guys maybe we expect to stay gone for other contracts. I mean, it's back-to-back year success, so they're managed. Somebody's going to go out and try to get some money elsewhere. So the Phillies could be a team to watch for this offseason.
Yeah, and I say I'm surprised. I'm surprised Castellanos is talked about in trade talks. I guess for how well he played in the postseason, and he did have a bad NLCS, but he was a big reason that why they beat the Braves in the NLDS. The Braves couldn't get him out, and I know Harper had his moments too, but Castellanos was tough for the Braves to get out. So just because that one series against NLC in the NLCS is kind of – I don't know if that's the reason why they soured on him already, but if that's the case, they're going to trade Castellanos. Maybe try to get a little bit younger and insert in the outfield. Get a little bit more athletic out there because again they're not the greatest outfielders with Schwarber and Castellanos. Castellanos is an above average outfielder defensively, but he does have his moments where he struggled out there. So that's probably why they're looking at him and saying that if we can get better somewhere in that lineup, it's going to be defensively because you have Harper, you still have Rio Muto, Alec Boehm is playing really well hitting wise and developed really well. Trey Turner, so maybe you can get away with trading Castellanos and lose that bat for someone a little bit better defensively. Maybe get a 250, 260 hitter that can spread the ball around the field, but is a lockdown outfielder. Maybe that's probably what they're thinking is.
Yeah, where do you want to be? Dominant offensively or get away with defensively,
Yeah.
And Philadelphia has not been a great defensive team over the last couple of years either. They've been an average at best defensive team.
I mean, I know Schwarber is a 40 home run guy, but would you rather trade Schwarber than Castellanos?
Schwarber.
The Phillies?
I mean,
If you had to trade one of them.
If I had to trade one, I probably would lean for trading Castellanos just because I think he's a little bit.
Okay.
And please, someone correct me if I'm wrong. If he's a little bit older than Schwarber, I don't know the age difference between the two.
I think so.
And like I said, I don't know if there is an age difference on there, but I would look. If that's the case, I would say, yeah, I'm getting a little bit younger. Castellanos would be who I trade and try to. And again, the value of Castellanos for what he did in the season and even the postseason, minus the NLCS, is there. You can trade him and get some pieces somewhere else and add a little bit more to in certain areas on that team.
Yeah.
I don't think
he's only
Schwarber's
older by a year.
Okay, so it's not that big of a
31.
difference. Okay, but for Schwarber, yeah, he's a 40 home run hitter, but he batted 180.
That's right.
I mean, you're valuing obviously what if this was okay. So and this is where I go with
his base percentage is insane though too. So Schwarber does like three things. He's either going to strike out, fucking home run, or walk. That's where I was about to go.
That's where I was about to go with it. If you're valuing the analytical stats that has been running baseball for the last 10 to 15 years, then obviously the value of Kyle Schwarber is high still. We're not heading. We're in a change right now. We're beginning the change of how we view players, going back to the old ways. And I think we're heading. I mean, it's a big conversation. We had Aaron Judge was talking against Brian Cashman and how they viewed their stats and how they valued stats, saying, "Hey, you're not valuing RBIs and batting average as you should be." I think we're heading for a change, going back to the old ways of thinking of baseball players. And if that's the case, Kyle Schwarber's value is not high. He bats 180. Yes, he gets on base. He gets on base and does a good job getting on base. He does hit 40 home runs. But the outside of the sabermetric stats, he's not that good of a player. No. He doesn't provide the value. He had more home runs. I think he had more home runs than singles.
Yeah, he had 40 at one time. He had 40 home runs and 40 singles in the season.
So again, if you value, so it depends. Are you if you're an analytical team still, then yeah, you can make a phone call to Kyle Schwarber and get the value that you think is still good for him. But if these teams are going back to old thinking and old ways of statistics, Schwarber's not that guy
at all.
Well, I'm gonna date myself here, but Schwarber is the kind of guy that's like the Rob Dare and Gorman Thomas of baseball. Either you hit a home run or you strike out, and that's it.
And that's what
he is.
That chance.
And that's what the thought process is for the last 5 years. You know, we value home runs more than we value than we devalue strikeouts, or we look at if you can. 200. I think we're going to have some guys still strike out 200 times, but they're not going to be ignored. It's not going to be ignored anymore. I think it's going to be looked at and says that's not good. Those are not good stats. So it makes my baseball heart happy to be able to say that and hear that, because that's what baseball is supposed to be. Like, you're not supposed to strike out 200 times every year and think you're still a good ball player. You're not supposed to bat below. You're not supposed to bat below 200. And still think that you're going to get paid as one of the highest paid players. You know, Kyle Schwarber batted 180. He hit 40 home runs, and that's supposed to make it go away. It doesn't make it go away. You know, so that so it just depends on how you want to view and value that. That's why I think Castellanos, his value is higher right now than Schwarber. Trade Castellanos, and you can get more out of it out of what he does, or out of that trade for him than what you're going to get in a trade for Schwarber.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree.
Jonathan, before we get you out of here, what's the boys looking like coming up this week?
And we are in our we have a short week this week with Thanksgiving just around the corner, so we're going to be dismissing the boys Thursday after Thursday's practice. We have our Enid challenge. So just kind of an update about it. Enid is the site of the Junior College World Series. So kind of like what the big boys do during their off season is they have the Omaha Challenge. They split up into two teams and they basically put a workout program that's a competition between the two teams, and the team that wins the most challenges throughout the off season wins the Omaha Challenge. In our case, it is the Enid Challenge. So we have our Enid Challenge usually done on Fridays. We're moving it to Wednesdays so we can let the boys who are not from the Arkansas area who have flights to catch out. They're going to be able to go home and spend time with their family leaving after Thursday's practice. So it's a shorter week, but we're still working. We're still working. These boys are hungry. They're looking good. And they're focused. And that's the one thing, again, for 18 and 19-year-olds and understanding what you're accomplishing. And I've played with guys who are 22 or 20, 21, 22, 23-year-olds in college and in pro ball who are not as focused as what these boys have been so far. It makes me very excited. So we have our workouts, we have our practices. Me working with our first baseman and outfielders, going really well with them, and just watching them develop more each day has been awesome to see. Taking in something different from what I have, what I've learned and what I've coached, a little bit different with what they have been learning as well throughout their life, throughout their career. They're taking it in really well, and we're getting ourselves ready for that ENA challenge. My team right now, so I'm the leader of one team. One of our other hitting coach, he's the leader of the other team. My team is up 2-0 so far in our challenge, so I'm expecting us to continue having success and pushing forth and taking another win this Wednesday. I expect nothing less from my group, so we're gonna hopefully get some good news on that aspect of.
That's
Hell
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
Epic.
who you got Thursday night? It's Cincinnati heads to Baltimore. Both teams coming off a loss. The Ravens are 3.5 favorites at home.
That's going to be a good. Thank God the NFL is giving us a good game after a couple of bad Thursday games. So, was that?
T. Higgins is ruled out. No T.
Already, he's already ruled out.
Already. Yep.
I cannot go against my LSU boys though, and that is Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And I know there's an LSU national champion, and Patrick Queen, the linebacker for the Ravens, is on there. But my boys, Burrow and Chase, I can't go against them. I got to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. I'll go just a little bit more broad on it. It is a must win for Cincinnati because in order to keep themselves in the playoff conversation and even the division conversation, they have to win this game. They dug themselves in a hole with Burrow not being healthy at the beginning of the season. They've won a few games. They had a bad loss against Houston, and Houston being a surprise team right now. That was a shocker.
If catches that fucking touchdown, they win that game yesterday.
As I said, that's a bad loss. You cannot lose that game against Houston, especially with the Ravens losing to the Browns. You had a chance to gain a game on Baltimore, and you blow it in a game against the Texans. So this is a must-win for Cincinnati, and I think they're going to be realizing that, and the awareness of that situation is going to be at an all-time high. So I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals to beat the Ravens.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us even earlier than ever. Tanner, do you have something to say?
Nope. I just said I like it. That's all.
Oh, okay. We appreciate you joining us every Monday night. Best of luck to you, and we hope LSU loses more games as always. So,
he has to speak for all of us, John.
Keep hating on what we do down in the Bayou. We're state of champions. I know you're.
The Bayou.
I know that your Cubs don't understand that. Your Packers don't understand that. They haven't. Neither one. I know the Cubs won one. It's been almost a decade now. So you don't get what it's like to be a recent champion anymore. So we're Louisiana's the state of champions. We
appreciate it, brother.
While you can be at it, go ahead and kiss our ring for me, Nick.
Hey, we'll see you then. We'll see you next Monday, Jonathan. Appreciate it, brother.
See you guys.
Bye, Jonathan.
Let's make our picks for the Thursday night game. As I said, it's Ravens. Bengals head to Baltimore. Both teams coming off losses. 3.5 favorite, Sam. We'll go with you. At the 3.5 for the man, I feel like we're huge right now.
We big, baby. We made it big time.
Yeah,
I wasn't gonna say nothing, but
it made my fat head, fit in here.
Who you like, Sam?
I'm gonna go with Cincinnati. It's just a lucky play, a bad defensive play, and the Texans don't win that game. I've also seen the Ravens look more mortal. But I think Joey Burr is a scary man when it comes to games like these. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati.
Desperate man. Scott.
Burr. So cold.
I think Houston Sunday unlocked the way to beat Cincinnati, and it's to run the ball. And Baltimore's strength is to run the ball. So I'm taking Baltimore at home.
Tanner?
Scott.
Yeah, I had to pull up and take a look here. Just record wise, spread, and all that jazz. Head to head matchup in September. Baltimore is that one exactly by 3 in this one here. They rushed for almost 200 yards. So I think you're probably going to see Baltimore coming off a pissed off game more than anything, and that defense is better at Baltimore. So give me the Ravens -3.
It's 3.5. It's 3.5.
Sorry, 3.5. That's what I meant.
The hook.
The hook will get you.
Bring the hook.
Yeah.
I'll
take the 3.5. I'll still take the 3.5.
You're killing me with the references, baby. Killing me today.
3.5. Yeah, that the hook will get you, folks, and that's why I'm thinking
bring you
the
back.
Bengals. I do think that the Bengals. No, Higgins kind of worries me, but the Bengals got to have this one and give me Joey Burrow in a win or die to keep the season alive, and playoff hopes and division hopes alive. Give me Joey B on the short week. Watkins, Burrow, Bengals with the plus 3.5.
Stand alone.
So what did everybody have?
Scott, you and Scott had
Baltimore.
Ravens.
Yep.
Me,
Okay, we had Baltimore.
Sam, and Jonathan had the
Bengals.
the Bengals.
If Cincinnati loses this week, Watkins is never picking the Bengals again. It's over. It's over.
It's over.
It's over.
Thanks.
Speaking of steam, these two teams stink. Are the Bills the most disappointing fucking team out there? They
really are. They really
because
are.
it's what I expected.
I think they're just disappointing.
They're not, but I think Denver's defense has improved
Vastly improved. Yes.
with their health.
That's not the same. That's not the same defense that got hung up on 70. You know what I mean?
No. And I think Josh Allen is trying to do too much tonight. He's got 3 turnovers, so he's trying to do way too much.
4 turnovers as a team.
Yeah.
Handoff, is that a Cook problem?
That was an Allen. That was an Allen. Allen
That's
dropped
a
it.
fumble.
He dropped it.
Yeah.
Cook wasn't even like it. I don't even hit his body. He just drops it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was a Cook or Allen who like.
That was the Allen fumble. That was a full Allen. I turned it on just then from Purdue.
Yeah,
and that's what it's Allen, dude.
We got to be careful. You know how Tanner hates Josh Allen to a point where it's become illogical. So it's totally Allen, guys. It's totally Allen.
See that throw from Russ Wilson to Judy?
Yeah,
that's Allen's fault. That's Allen's fault.
Yeah,
sure is.
If Buffalo loses tonight, the playoffs are out for them. They're not making it.
No, hey guys, I gotta ask you a question here, because it's brought up on the Buffoons chat here, the last couple of days. CJ Stroud, what's your thoughts here? Chance for MVP this year?
No. Me
JG
and Scott talked about this.
I think on it.
We dealt with this
we
last
had
night.
the same discussion last night, and me and Scott both said no.
What were certain gentlemen that were just fans in your chat the whole time?
Yes, yeah.
That's great. I gotta watch that. I'm gonna go back.
Rookie of the year, he's got that sewn up. It's locked up.
Okay. So how does he win MVP?
He can't. He's not going to.
He's going to continue doing what he's doing.
He's not that far off.
He's not that far off.
Yeah.
Tanner, you know the only time a person who won MVP and Rookie of the Year, you want to know his fucking name was?
Who?
Jim fucking Brown. Is CJ Stroud Jim fucking Brown? No.
I'm asking you, how does he win it? I think the Chiefs. I think Hurts can't be a one, or Hurts can't be a 1 seed, right?
Yeah.
I'm not putting 2 in the conversation, so he's out for me. Mahomes is out for me.
Tyreek could be. Tyreek is still MVP.
McCaffrey, right? I think are 2. So McCaffrey has to have a big downfall the last half of the season. Tyreek.
What about Lamar?
I don't think he holds on to that.
Lamar, Joe Burrow, I still think.
What about Lamar? Lamar Jackson. Yeah.
Lamar has to be a 1 seed. He has to be a 1 seed to get it.
Burrow, I don't think has a chance because
Burrow
of the way
has to be a 2 seed, 2 or 1 seed.
Yeah,
to get
I
it.
think if he, I think
so.
I
So
think
you're
so.
looking at Stroud. I think a Stroud at worst has to at least win the division, right? and he has still to
Yeah.
put up the same big numbers he's putting up now, but he needs the other things to happen. He starts to be a 2 seed. He needs McCaffrey
Can't
to fall
lose to
apart.
Carolina. I'll tell you that much.
Huh?
He lost to Carolina.
I didn't worry about the record. I ain't worried about record. I'm
Well,
worried
if
about.
you got to worry
I'm
about
worried
the
about.
record if you're
I'm,
saying they
I'm
got
worried about
1 or 2
seeding.
seed.
I'm worried about seeding and performance. That's all I'm worried about.
If he
He's
doesn't
played
get it,
great.
is it Josh Allen's fault?
And
And it's
kudos,
Josh Allen's fault.
and kudos to him. Him and D'Amico. They've turned that team around. Let me ask you guys this: Is it? We were kind of talking about this yesterday, me and Scott. Your coach of the year, is it D'Amico or is it KOC in Minnesota? Because right now, I give it to KOC in Minnesota, playing with the likes of Josh Dobbs, no Justin Jefferson. They were left for dead, and now they're in the playoffs.
I think the one guy we're forgetting about is Dan Campbell. I think he's still involved in this.
Dan Campbell could possibly.
I think MCDC is your coach of the year right now.
To me, I say KOC, and because of all the injuries.
Yeah, you know me.
Why?
Why KOC?
Yeah.
Because of all the injuries, and they've made they're in the playoffs right now. You're telling me we just went over it. No Cousins, no Jefferson, Madison's out. You know what I mean? Like what they're doing in Minnesota right now. That's great coaching.
Yeah, it all depends where they end up in week 17. That's all it does. It all depends where they can they overtake Detroit.
If they make the
Can
playoffs,
they overtake Detroit.
What is Detroit like?
I would rank MCDC, Harbaugh right now as well.
Those guys are supposed to win. Those guys were supposed to win.
D'Amico, and then probably maybe the Vikings guy.
Yeah, KOC.
Yeah, maybe.
I think D'Amico and KOC. Because Dan and Harbaugh. Well, I didn't pick the Ravens, but MCDC is supposed to win. They're supposed to.
I don't know. Oh well,
I think as we sit here right now, I think Dan Campbell's the guy.
Front runner.
I think he is.
I see the point. I'm just making a case for KOC right now.
I do think if the Lions go on a 2 or 3 game losing streak here, I think then you looking at O'Connell as a possible winner, or D'Amico Ryans. If Houston keeps winning, they win 10 games this year. D'Amico Ryans is probably.
Yeah, they went from worst to first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would easily put them ahead.
I don't think CJ Stroud is going to be MVP.
I don't either.
$2 bet put in today for it, so plus 2,500 DK.
If he keeps up this pace, then I think he's got a shot. But he needs to keep up what he's doing right now.
I don't know why you don't got Mahomes. What Mahomes is doing in Kansas City with no goddamn receivers.
That's the thing. Dude. It's still top 5 offense, and they're not doing nothing. It seems like it's just you're just not going to have an MVP because they're not putting up the numbers that we all feel they normally would. Yeah. That's all it is. Like still win, but it just
hurts to
doesn't
me.
Feel like
hurts. I think Tyreek. What Tyreek's
got to be. He has to have 100 yards each game though to get that MVP.
He's got to get like 2,300 yards.
He didn't get that against the Chiefs, did he? How was that fumble? Huh? How was that fumble return touchdown, Tyreek? Yeah.
The only non-quarterback I think has a chance.
Josh Allen's fault.
The only non-quarterback that has a chance is Christian McCaffrey.
No, Tyreek's got a chance.
Tyreek has a small chance. C-Mac's probably my MVP right now. So.
Yeah.
He didn't score a touchdown yesterday. He's no longer my MVP after 7.
You mean the streak's broken now? You can't do it.
Oh, dear Lord.
Didn't score on after 17 straight games. Well, let's get to our final thoughts and get the hell out of here. Scott, we'll start with you.
So if you watched the Scott Cope show Thursday night, me and Nick were on. We gave some player props. We went 9 for 12 in player props and a teaser tonight that the Bills need to cover here, which is Bills give plus 5.5 on the teaser. So if that comes through, myself and Nick gave a lot of winners to a lot of people. So if you're paying attention with prop bets, you cashed greatly this week. So Again, Thursday night's going to be Scott Cove show is going to be another prop bet show. Where we're going to give out 10 of the prop bets that I like the most, and if you want to put them in, put them in. We give player prop bet. Let's talk bets. Sunday was all about player prop bets. Myself and Tanner said that the sides did not look good for us. I didn't like any of the sides. So Scott Cove show Thursday night will be another prop bet show. So,
Sam, you got any final thoughts?
Yeah. Boy, this league's interesting. I'm still going to be. Yeah. It's I get upset when people try to the other fans try to chop other fans down. There's no handbook for fandom. Okay. Listen, I'm a season ticket member. I could talk bad about my Titans. All right. Okay. I don't think you can bleed more two-tone blue than I can. So, but if you want to get on to me saying I was not like a big believer or something like that, that's on you, bud. I just tend to be a little more logical than just fully believe in them. And guess what?
I'm a believer.
I'm a believer if I cry. This is a musical episode. You already got me singing "Hook" by Blues Traveler. I'm flipping out, man.
I was saying "Hook" by Hook from the movie Hook.
Yeah, I know you were Hook. Here's a Hook. Here, but you were one step away from "Brings Her Back."
Oh shit! Oh my God, the Bills are. That's the 2 field goal.
He missed it.
Extra point. That time they dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Why do I think it's windy in Buffalo tonight? Is it windy in Buffalo tonight?
I don't know what's happening there. That's what it cost them now. Because now the Bills are going to go down and score a touchdown and win the game. Oh, it was just a bad snap. Bad hold.
Yeah,
because the first miss he had curved. It seemed like the wind took it.
They could be up by
10 miles an hour, dude. 10 miles an hour. Nothing worse than
it's not bad.
playing.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Anyway, don't let anybody tell you you're not a fan. That's my point.
You're not a fan.
Sam, you're not a fan, Sam.
Your mom's not
You're
a
not
fan.
a fan, Sam.
She's not a fan of you.
Your mom's an only fan.
She does have an OnlyFans. Don't look at it.
Josh Allen's fault.
Listen, let's
Tanner,
not get Rios and Carlos involved here.
Hey guys, we're make sure you guys check out Let's Talk Bets every day, daily bets show. We always record it right before all the slate, so usually it's in the morning for Matt. I do it in the afternoon. But we're always getting your daily shows out for your daily sports bet there. What are we sitting at, Scott? Now we got 1 win on the night. We're 1-3. Wow, man.
Yeah, I think we're sitting at like 35 and 27. 27
yeah, we're
or
still
something.
running. I mean, we're winning records still happening, guys.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys give us a follow there. Always available on Apple and Spotify as well. Looking for another couple EPL guys. So if you like the Premier League across seas, let me know. Interested to have you maybe come help out and be on a couple shows, and just continuing to build the thing. So make sure you guys check us out. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Amazon Music. We're on all 3 or 4 of those, whatever that was. So check us out, guys.
Yeah. My final thought is another great Monday show. Man, the NFL is wild. All week we said there was only there was going to be shit games because it was shit teams. Well, 6 games was last second field goal, and 2 games I believe had last second interception. So, it is what it is.
Who saw tonight coming? Who saw tonight coming?
I kind of did, but I thought it could happen for sure.
Well, Tanner did.
Plus 7.5, whatever it was.
No, I agree. I took the Broncos plus 7.5, but who saw the Broncos being ahead with 5 minutes left in the game? I thought they'd keep it close, but not win outright.
They could win outright. I figured they could. The Bills are just so up and down.
Josh Allen prime time.
Yeah, I see your hand, Tanner. Put it down. Put it down, Tanner. Put it down.
I'll be back Wednesday night for the second episode of Head Kicks and Haymakers. Me and Whit be coming at you 7:00 Central, 8 Eastern. We'll recap UFC 295. We're gonna react to MMA Junkies Wild top 30 UFC fighters. The list is officially out, so we'll kind of react to that. We'll talk about this Saturday's card. So
Let me talk to you.
full about an hour of me and Whit talking UFC. So can't wait. Wednesday night. So please tune into that. Get some MMA news, and we'll be play some bets. I was 2 for 2 on the main and co-main on the whole main card. I was 3 for 5. So, but I nailed the main and co-main. So on Saturday night, so that was fun. Anyway, that's it. We'll be also back a new LTS show Thursday night, 8 o'clock Central, 10 Eastern, or 9 Eastern. So
I ain't telling
see them, folks.
you
Be a friend, tell a friend, like,
no
subscribe,
lie.
share. See what happens with the Bills here.
Brings you
See you guys.
Let's get out of here.
Life better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss. Just my life and free thoughts.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try to change, you can say no, free me.